After several days away, liberal Fox News commentator Jessica Tarlov returned to The Five and absolutely ruined her 4 MAGA co-hosts' day with a relentless series of brutal reality checks, which remind them that Vice President Kamala Harris is currently winning this election. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to talk about in this video. Jessica Tarlov is back. I imagine the collective sphincters of her 4 co-hosts were clenched, especially when she opened her mouth to give some brutal reality checks about the state of the 2024 election for Trump. And just the greatest twist of the proverbial knife was the fact that she was able to cite a Fox News poll to do it. So we're going to play this clip and unpack it together. Brace yourselves for maximum Tarlov awesomeness.
Jessica, I'm going to give you the last word, but I reserve the right to interrupt.
I reject your reservation. And the judge needs a Karl Rove whiteboard now so that she can write that all down. As is usually the case, I see the race dramatically differently than my loving and lovely colleagues. So in just the last 24 hours, there has been cold, hard evidence of a debate bounce for Kamala Harris between 1 and 3 points. And national polling, Fox poll has a 3-point shift in her direction. What I thought was most important about the Fox poll is Donald Trump's advantage on the economy is now down to 5 points. She's tied with him on the economy in Morning Consult and in the FT poll. He can't win this race unless people actually think he's going to be dramatically better for the economy. New York Times Siena, 2-point shift in her favor. Also, she's up 4 in Pennsylvania. Her favorability has climbed 15 points, which is unheard of. And the AP has a poll out, and she's routing him on tough enough to be president, that she'll change country for the better, and that she'll fight for people like you. People know that Kamala Harris is for the people, and Donald Trump is for Donald Trump. Morning Consult had their swing state tracker. She's up everywhere but Arizona, where he's up 1. And what's a really interesting state in there? North Carolina, which is a big target for the Democrats. And we just found out an hour ago that the lieutenant governor there, Mark Robinson, who's running for governor,
Never heard of him.
Who Donald Trump called Martin Luther King on steroids, posted on a porn forum called Nude Africa that he's a black Nazi, expressed support for reinstating slavery, and detailed his sexual arousal from memories of peeping on women in public gyms. And he still fantasizes about it. He also has an Ashley Madison account.
How dare you kink shame?
Sure.
That's a great reaction. So Josh Stein was likely to win that race anyway. If they get Mark Robinson to drop out, his name is still on the ballot. But this makes North Carolina even more in play for Democrats. And this, again, is evidence of the type of candidates that Donald Trump thinks are good for the country. Martin Luther King on steroids, someone who says he's a black Nazi.
Absolutely brutal. Like we should just have a moment of silence for the arguments and the beliefs and the hopes, the dreams and the aspirations, as the vice president would say, of Jessica Tarlov's 4 MAGA co-hosts as they had to deal with that relentlessly brutal fact check from her. That might be the most brutal takedown I have ever seen Jessica Tarlov unleash, because she cited multiple sources, multiple crosstabs, multiple questions, toughness to be president, understands people like you, just staggering. So let's unpack it a bit. The vice president has enjoyed a colossal fundraising edge since she became the presumptive Democratic nominee. There are no signs of that slowing at the moment, number one. Number two, she has led or been tied in national head-to-head polls, which is bad for Trump. On the other hand, Trump can take, I suppose, heart, strange turn of phrase to ascribe to Trump, but he can take heart in the fact that the Republicans have affirmative action politically in the form of electoral college, right? So they're given an outsized, unjustified, ridiculous, and antiquated conservative rural state advantage. However, the vice president is leading in most, if not all, of the swing states, according to most, if not all, of the polls. And then it's not, again, the fact that she was able to bring up the Fox News poll. Again, we talked about this. For all of my complaints about Fox as a news organization, it's a pretty reputable pollster. And I've been saying that even when Fox News polls have the Democrats at a disadvantage, which many times they have had. But now she's beating him by 2 points in the Fox poll, which she did in the most recent Fox poll as well. Fox has consistently had her ahead. This is devastating for Trump. All of these factors in conjunction are devastating, plus her favorability. I mean, it's true that the vice president has never been particularly popular, but her favorability, not approval, have been increasing substantially and steadily since she became the presumptive Democratic nominee. And this is really important. Donald Trump's favorability has not. As I mentioned in the most recent episode of Live and Learn, Donald Trump's favorability is capped at about 43, 42, 44%, just like within that 2-point margin of error. Donald Trump is not, has never been, and never will be a nationally popular candidate. He's just not. He is exceedingly unlikable. People want to talk about how unlikable Secretary Hillary Clinton was in the 2016 election, but she beat Trump by 3 million votes. More people wanted to vote for Hillary Clinton than they did Donald Trump. He was less liked than Hillary Clinton. He won the presidency in 2016 purely because of the Electoral College. Again, affirmative action in the American political system for Republicans. He lost the popular vote in 2020 by 7 million votes to President Biden. No matter what the outcome is of this particular race, he is almost certainly going to lose the popular vote again. If he wins the presidency, it will be by virtue of the Electoral College. Donald Trump, for better or worse, is capped. His weakness is his strength. His weakness is people's opinion on Trump tend to be fixed. So the prophecy, if he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose a single vote, is true, but he doesn't seem to be able to get votes easily either. Whereas the vice president's potential is much greater than his, and she is slowly but surely seeing it realized. So all of these things are manifesting in real time, much as Jesse Waters, Jeanine Pirro, and Dana Perino don't want to admit it. And now, as somebody who lives in North Carolina, I'm a North Carolinian, she's right. The polls show that North Carolina, which is a purple state, I might add, conventional wisdom says it's a red state. It's not. It is a heavily gerrymandered state because of Republicans acting in bad faith and ruthlessly with respect to their politics. I compare Wisconsin and North Carolina. Wisconsin's also a purple state that Republicans, once they got into power, ruthlessly seized power and used it to entrench their advantage because they understand power, unfortunately, in ways that Democrats don't when it comes to trying to seek power again. They're just instinctively better at it. So whereas Democrats tend to act in much better faith when they have power, Republicans pounce. They gerrymandered the hell out of Wisconsin and North Carolina. However, because we recently won a Supreme Court seat in Wisconsin, a lot of those gerrymandered gains were able to be rolled back because we were able to change the voting maps and we had a liberal court that made it more balanced, basically made it 50-50. North Carolina was the opposite. The most recent Supreme Court seat that was available was won by a conservative. There were voting map changes challenged to the Supreme Court in North Carolina, and the right-wing North Carolina Supreme Court granted the conservative state or the conservative maps. So what happened was we went from a 7-7 congressional split in North Carolina to what is expected to be a 10-4 or potentially even 11-3 conservative split. Okay? That's what Republicans do when they take power. They maximize it. And yet, despite all of that, right now, Attorney General Josh Stein, who's running to be governor, is beating Mark Robinson, the current lieutenant governor, an insane MAGA Republican who's very close to Trump politically. And now this new scandal has come out. And as a consequence of all of this and all the other scandals, it has put North Carolina in play, not just for Democrats gubernatorially, but for Democrats nationally. Vice President Harris may well win North Carolina because Republicans cannot pick sane candidates with broad support. It's why they pick Kari Lake. It's why they pick Mark Robinson. It's why they pick insane MAGA losers like that. And what's funny is her 4 co-hosts were quiet for the most of that relentless series of fact checks. But notice when the topic turned to Mark Robinson, they felt the need to kind of joke to break the tension because they know they have no good answer for it. And I want you to imagine the shoes on the other foot and it were a black Democratic gubernatorial candidate instead of a black Republican gubernatorial candidate. And imagine we found out that particular candidate also said that, trafficked in porn forums and referred to himself as a black Nazi. Would they be laughing about it then? Would Jeanine Pirro, Greg Gutfeld, Jesse Waters, Dana Perino, would they be laughing about it then? No. They would say it doesn't matter if the Democrats knew about it or not, if he kept it in front of him. He is a representative of that party. How dare you endorse this person? How dare you associate with this person? But because it's Trump and the Republicans, they think it's a laughing matter. The hypocrisy is staggering, but you know what? It doesn't change anything. Jessica Tarlov was right. As of this moment, and it could change tomorrow, but as of this moment, multiple vertices are converging here, and the vice president is winning this election. And they don't want to hear it, but it's true. And you know that it's going to break Donald Trump's heart when he watches it later on today. Love it. Love the relentless fact-checking by Jessica Tarlov. She's so damn good at what she does. And in the meantime, of course, let me know what you think in the comments.